Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the program. It's PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. It's Tuesday. That means we'll have Buddy Martin here in just a second. We'll also have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Get his thoughts, get both of their thoughts on Gator baseball last night. If you missed it last night, Gators lose 18-4 to the LSU Tigers. Congratulations to LSU. A heck of a baseball team. That's probably why they were the preseason #1 team in America. You had two great teams going at it, and Florida just fell short. And we're going to get Buddy Martin's thoughts here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. How you doing, buddy? Good morning.
Good morning, Shane. Good morning. Thank you. And, I watched last night's game more as a fan instead of a journalist. When you've been trained all these years to not show your feelings or whatever and take a position on our team, it's different when you got a game like this. It means so much, and was for a lot of reasons. But this one was hard to take, harder than most. And I've given myself permission to sort of grieve about it a little bit. I'm in grief already, you know why. But this one is just, it hurt more than most. I feel badly for everybody. I know Gator fans are suffering this morning. Now, we can talk about the future and the bright things and the sunshine and all that stuff. And I know that's what you usually do. But right now, I'm at a point where I'm a little bit angry still. I don't know who, I'm not at the team. And I feel a little bit shocked about what happened. So I'm not even in a position to want to say congratulations to LSU right now because I don't mean it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, buddy. It's tough, tough pill to swallow. But this is why I was hoping Wake Forest would upset LSU somehow, just because, boy, from top to bottom, their lineup is crazy. But when you sit back and you think about the three games, and I think Sully mentioned it last night in his presser, look, it comes down to this. We only got 7 2/3 out of our starting pitchers in 3 games, and that's hard to win. And, yes, we put a lot of runs on the board in game 2, but I think we're all a little shocked at how Sproat pitched, how Waldrop pitched, and obviously Jack last night. I think that came back to bite us. Your thoughts on that?
No doubt about it. Didn't get a lot of power out of the top of the lineup until really the second game. But there are some heroes in this, and they should be mentioned. And I hate that Caglione was the victim of this because he's such a good kid and a great ball player. And the jury is still out. And I'm not going to start the second guess process yet, but the jury's out whether he is really ready for prime time as a pitcher. Last night, he wasn't. They gave the ball to him in hopes we see the good Caglione. He didn't have the control, hit the first batter in the back, walked 4 guys, and kind of got away. As I wrote on Twitter, I figured LSU was looking for some revenge. I didn't know they get it all in the same inning. 6 innings, six runs in the second inning. And Cags just couldn't get it over. I've been in that position before as a pitcher. I know what it feels like. I played pitching my conference finals and was one of the top pitchers on the team. Could not get the ball across the plate. I don't know why I couldn't. So I feel for him. I'm not ready to dissect it just quite yet and say what went wrong here or there. There were some wonderful moments the last 3 days. I don't want to let's not forget about some of the things that really happened that were amazing. That incredible, like Ty Evans. He hit 5 home runs. 5. World Series record. Ty Evans, not Caglione. So there were some things like that, but I'm just sort of filtering through it right now. Obviously, pitching, they ran out of pitching, and you're talking about a team. We didn't know, maybe you did, how good LSU was. I suspected they were very good, but I saw it with my own eyes. And for the first time I can remember, Shane, I always have a thing about not leaving the game, or obviously as a reporter, you can't. But I actually went to the TV and turned off the last half of the night. I couldn't take it anymore. I just turned it off. I was in the middle of writing a column about it. I said, you know what? I'm out. And so my buddies had gone to bed, had cashed it in, and just when the pain gets that high, it wasn't like I had to stay up and watch it. Nobody was making me. So you know what? I'm out. And that's okay, I think, to do that. So I know how Gator fans feel. I had this game felt like it was personal to me, and as it did to many of you. I mean, the biggest Gator baseball fan I know, my friend, who watched pitch by pitch every game, got to the sixth inning and said, "I'm going to bed." What do you do when it hurts so much? You got to do something, Shane.
To go to sleep. Yeah, we got a bunch of texts and comments here about Caglione. Want to know, and I saw it all over Twitter last night too, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. About why did Sully start him? People, this was our 3-man rotation the entire year. Okay, you do not change your rotation, what you've done to get you to the championship series. Because in hindsight, it's easy to say after what he did in the first 2 innings. But look, I don't know if he's ever going to be a pitcher. Andy says, should he just concentrate on playing first base and being a hitter? It is what it is. There's a text here on the Titan MR text line from Jimmy. Jimmy says, Shane, what are your thoughts? I look at Anthony Richardson and Cags. They're very similar. Splash plays, but very inconsistent. I mean, I don't know. They're both tremendous players. There's no question. Look.
Wait, hold it. Anthony never got to a championship game. We're talking about he was pitching a championship game here. So it's not a valid comparison.
I guess that is true. That is true. So appreciate the text though. Look, Keggs is a tremendous player. He's not a great pitcher, but for these people that after the fact want to second guess what Kevin O'Sullivan by putting him out there, obviously didn't watch baseball at all. He was the number 3 starter the entire flipping year on weekend series in the SEC, the toughest conference. And this is why I did not want to play LSU. I was praying that Wake Forest could win that. But like I said, they're a tremendous team. They got some really good players. So it is what it is. It does hurt, though. I hear you. I mean, because when you get this close, and you don't come out on top, it definitely hurts. And so, a lot of people, buddy, I was on Twitter last night, and I don't know who these people, I don't know how they pop up on my Twitter feed. I don't know how Twitter works.
Because they follow you. They follow you on Twitter.
Oh, so if they follow me, they get
everything you get pops goes, and then you've allowed them to follow you. So there you go.
Well, I don't follow them because I'm getting ready to defollow them. However you do that, I'm not somebody going to because
you can do that. That's your producer. Your producer can do that. He can take people off you don't want. And
my producer has nothing to do with my personal.
Well,
Twitter.
Whoever is your personal Twitter guy, I don't know, but it can be done.
That's me. I'm my personal Twitter guy.
Just go back and block everybody you don't like. Block them.
Well, somebody's going to because it's the I'm for the Gators this, orange and blue that, whatever their little and they're just dogging Sully and they're dogging our players.
I know that's ridiculous.
Then they want to talk about the end of the year. Oh, what a great year it was! Congratulations. Yeah. I don't have time for these people because obviously they've never ever at any point in their life played a sport because some of the stuff they say, and like I said, I don't follow them, so I don't know how the hell they pop up on me, but I'm getting ready to delete them all.
Well, you just go block who you don't want. You block. And they can't get to you. But Shane, I want to say that. Let me say, go ahead.
Well, Andy says on Facebook Live brought to you by Melon, everyone wants to tweet with you. I'm not tweeting with them, Andy. That's the thing. I don't even follow them. I'm looking at just information, and then their stuff pops up, and
they
I see
follow
all
you.
the negativity.
They follow you, Shane,
Okay,
and that's you
well,
can block
they ain't gonna be following me much longer.
Okay, you gotta get that thick skin now, brother. You're a star. You're a superstar.
I'm very thick. No,
and
this has nothing
they
to do
want
with me.
your opinion.
No, but buddy, I don't want to hear their opinion when they're dogging the players.
I get it.
Dogging the coaches,
that's why you have the block button.
We're playing for the national title.
I agree.
And they're second guessing why Caglione is pitching when he's done it the entire year.
This is baseball. It's a second guess sport. It's what they do.
You play that.
But no, baseball more than any other one. The second guess has always been part of baseball. Do you like it? No. Whatever. I mean, I could see why someone would say, looking for answers now with hindsight of 2020, is always great. Well, maybe Cade Fisher should have come out the first 3 innings and then put Cags in for an inning if he hadn't got it and put him back. I don't know. I guess there's another way. When you get beat like that, there's all kind of vulnerabilities you can second guess. I saw a guy today who hatefully said, somebody wrote, he said, well, no wonder that's Sully. He was on Scott Carter's feed. Says he's a loser 7 out of 8 times. What a cruel and stupid thing to say. I mean, you got a hell of a baseball coach here. He got him to the finals, folks. They won more games than anybody every team ever won at Florida in baseball. He got him to the finals, and he didn't have his pitcher couldn't get the ball across the plate, okay? And they went into the hottest team in baseball.
Yeah. But like I said, some of these people are just complete morons. On the Titan MR text line, Daryl says, "Good morning, guys. I woke up this morning not feeling that disappointed. I know Sully will have us back in Omaha. Like Cardozo said last night, it was kind of like the 2006 national championship when Ted Ginn ran back one for Ohio State, and it snowballed after that. It was shoot. I mean, heck, it started out good with the 2-run homer by Wyatt Langford, and
thought they were on their way.
And then, yep. But it goes back to only getting, I really believe, only 7 2/3 out of your starters in 3 games. It's hard to win baseball for sure. So,
but Shane, you know what it's like? It's what it's like. It's like the Fiesta Bowl when Florida got clobbered by Nebraska. That's what it's like. What happened the next year? Steve Spurrier came back, made a few changes in his strength conditioning, whatever, and won a national championship. Now, that's the guy I want to talk to is how did he deal with that? Because nobody was more dejected than him about that. How did he do it?
Well, we played for national titles in baseball and come back and won in 2017. So,
well, but
Josh,
here's the thing. Let me just say this. Here's the thing. It wasn't just losing. It was the fact they got hammered by a team they hammered the day before. One game out and nothing worked. It felt like everything was going for LSU and nothing was going right for Florida. It wasn't that way. It seemed that way. Every ball they lined up, they hit went to a yellow jersey. It just seemed like it was completely LSU's night. There was nothing that Florida could have done in retrospect, but it sure felt like it just wasn't going in the Gators' favor. And even some of the calls, there was a call at third strike that miss, and like my buddy Randy said, hey, that's a strike 3. They're out of that. And next thing you know, the guy's got another RBI. So nothing was going right. And if nothing else, maybe the umpires weren't against him, but fate certainly was.
Yep. At Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Storing Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. A couple more minutes here with Buddy Martin. Josh says on the Titan MR text line from Mississippi, QB losing that game sucks. Although there were a ton of bad calls by the umps, the Gators didn't hit the ball. We swung routinely at rising fastballs and didn't get on base. On to next year and still a great season. Guys like BT and Wyatt will be missed. Cags will come back better on the mound. Yeah, we didn't hit the ball great in the series except for the one game, but I think it comes down to we didn't pitch the ball very well. It's it's a combination of a lot of things. All right, here's a long text, buddy, from Mark on the Titan MR text line. At 10 p.m. last night, with the Gators down by 10 runs, former UF football defensive coordinator Jeffrey Todd Grantham, who was head of the historically worst defense in Gator football history, had the nerve to tweet, "Is there a run rule?" with these smiley faces. What an absolute clown. Always knew he had zero class when he was at UGA and gave Chaz Henry the choke gesture prior to a game-winning field goal attempt. but this tweet might be a new low for him considering he's technically a former Gator. Unless he is coaching for another school, he should never be allowed to step on campus again. Your thoughts? I did see that. I thought it was it was not good. A coach at the collegiate level, I believe he's coaching at Alabama. You should not do that at all. Your thoughts, buddy?
Classless. And I think I'm thinking maybe he's too stupid to know that there wasn't one. And maybe he was asking the question. That's not something.
No, he put smiley faces after. So
yeah.
You knew he was joking around.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did see that, Mark. Thank you.
They got their pound of flesh. They got their pound of flesh. Okay. You take the blows, you take the pain, and you move on. Right now, I'm not ready to move on, but I understand how Gator fans feel. And haters, come on, bring it. Get your piece right now, and we'll see what happens in the future. Our only hope is that we have another shot at LSU in the series.
Well, I think we play LSU in the regular season next year. I mean, look, they won like 7 or 8 national championships now. That was the first one in quite some time. You got to tip your hat.
Is it 14 years or something? How long has it been? 10? Somebody knows.
Yeah, but they won a ton. You know, when you look at the overall programs in the Southeastern Conference, when you think of baseball, you probably put LSU at the top because they won the most national titles. And they got some good players. They do it a little bit different. It's tough to swallow. I know because the fans get upset, but I will say this.
I ain't giving them nothing, Shane. I ain't giving them nothing.
I know you're not, buddy. I'll argue with a couple of my buddies about this we're on this golf group text. They were bitching and complaining about the LSU fans. I'm like, look, I'm as Gator as there is, but it's a fact that LSU's fan base, in my opinion, travels better than any other university in every sport. Would you agree with that, buddy?
Yeah. What else is there to do in Baton Rouge?
Well, that's right. And it's the only school, you know, whether you go to Tulane, Louisiana, Lafayette, Louisiana, Monroe,
there's only one show. The Saints maybe a little bit, but I mean.
Yeah, they're the show. And everybody that goes to all those little smaller colleges and universities, they're still diehard LSU fans. But my point is they travel. And it upsets people for some reason. Their fan base.
No, Shane, they're loud and obnoxious. They're loud and obnoxious, okay? Aside from that. They travel, but, they're loud and obnoxious. And there's nothing more nauseating than to hear that chant LSU last night when they're up 15 runs. I mean, it just makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, it's tough. Brandon says, he agrees with me. This team won 54 games with Kaggs as our third pitcher. Yeah. You ride with who brought you. Yeah. In the end, it just wasn't in the cards for us. That ball Langford hit Saturday night. If it goes to the left or right, one extra foot, we win the whole thing.
It's over.
LSU's just a good ball club, and they pulled it out. Their lineup top to bottom can hit the ball. There's no question. They scare every dang one of those jokers scared me to death when they came to the plate. So, and Cliff says they have liquid courage. There's no question about the Cajuns have a ton of liquid courage for sure. Buddy, what else going on, man? You watch any golf lately?
I didn't watch much of it over the weekend. I just watched a little bit. And Keegan Bradley, I'm glad for him that he won. He's won up there in Northeast a bunch. And basically, now I'm ready for football season. A lot of recruiting news going on. I'm getting caught up on some of that now. People like Alec Peak Wilbur, who we have on every week, is on top of it. Our staff at Gator Bait been doing a great job. Matt Corderoro and we had a guy in Omaha. Kyle was out in Omaha this week, and so we'll get back on our horse here. And
was he there the whole?
No, he came in. He came in for the last. He got a credential. He and his dad came in on Thursday. Flew to Atlanta and drove over, and he had a friend of his and his dad. They had a great time. I think they did some Jello shots. Kyle Curtis, whatever. Wrote a couple of nice pieces there, and what an experience for a kid who's in college and go and meet credentials at a World Series.
There's no question. But think about, if you had gone out to Omaha to watch the Gators,
Yeah.
you know, the entire duration they were there.
Yeah.
Do you realize they were there for 13 days?
Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's like when I was following Hank Aaron trying to get him to hit his home run. It's like 3 weeks. Ain't no fun to be on the road for 3 weeks. But that's what you do. I mean, that's what you do. And we do love it. And we don't like being gone that long, but sometimes you have to do that. It's you know, there's like, as you know, I've had some personal issues lately, and I'm familiar with grief. Grief is you know, it is something that obviously at the level I've been experiencing, not the same, but the principles are similar in terms of this. A lot of fans are grieving right now about this game. It's not just another loss, all that. It's brutal. It was something that was just painfully brutal, and so folks are just, you know, go ahead and allow yourself to get angry and grieve, and at some you get past the shock, and then you just start thinking about how to recover and how to put your life back together. It was a really painful one. As I wrote this morning, my column was the painful reality of a bitter defeat, and I wrote this.
Yeah.
These are the nights when bitterness of defeat sucked the spirit out of you. As I typed this column with this big screen TV, still tuned to ESPN, the nauseating sound of LSU ringing in my ears. I think of all those heartbreaking outcomes of games I've covered over a half century of sports writing. This is one of the toughest because this time it's my team, and the expectations tonight were through the roof after the Gators' 24-4 beatdown Sunday. And it goes on to talk about just feeling bad, feeling the pain. Like I remember with Coach Spurrier, when I got on the bus to say goodbye to him out in Fiesta Bowl and the team got beat so bad in Nebraska, he was in shock. I'll never forget the look on his face. I felt that's called shock. But it turned out right for him a year later. I'm not sure where we go next, but right now we're grieving, and we're going to take the pain and see what's next.
Well, baseball will be back. They have a lot of good transfers coming in from UCLA. I think Clemson. I think Alabama. They'll have a great recruiting class. I mean, it's a premier program, top 5 program in America. You're right. It's a tough pill to swallow. You know, I don't know what's tougher, losing like this or how you lost game 1. You know, a 1-run game. So,
what do you think? What do you think?
I think losing the 1-run type games, because, you know, it's a play here or a play there that you really sit back and harp on. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is just a bloodbath. You know, just like game 2 was a bloodbath for LSU. Mm-hmm. They flushed it. Now, obviously, they had another game. I wish there was a game 4 where we could come back and redeem ourselves. But, I mean, gosh, they scored 18 runs, buddy, and they left 18 dudes on base. I mean, just think about it. They could have scored more runs than we did the previous night, possibly. So it's tough. It's tough either way around. I mean,
I would agree with you most of the time. Right now on this one, it's different because this is basically taking the most lopsided defeat Florida ever administered to a team and just had a total beatdown and setting records with runs and home runs. And being 1 game from the championship and having a team come back and do it to you and for the championship, that hurts. That's much worse to me than a 1-run loss.
Yeah, makes sense. Before we let you go, buddy, any thoughts? The Gators, as Andy said here, picked up a speedy slot receiver from IMG.
Yeah.
He's 4'3", 4'2". I mean, a quick, you know, I don't know if he's a Kadarius Toney or what, but he can go. So that was good news.
A little bitty guy and obviously fast, and he might not be as big as Kadarius Toney. He's only like 5'6" or 7, you know, and he won some sprint championships in West Virginia, 100, I believe, 200 meters. He can fly. He had the opportunity to go other places. I think they're excited about this guy. They're putting together some interesting pieces now. That wide receiver core is shaping up pretty fast, Shane. And that's going to make quarterbacks look pretty good when you got a guy like that who obviously is a burner. You throw that little screen or whatever, you know, in that slot and all the things you can do with the jet sweep. That's a weapon Florida needs to have they've had a few over the past few years. So yeah, that's good. Billy's putting the pieces together. It's very encouraging, and I think Gator fans are rightfully excited about it.
Yeah, he's says he's 5'9" currently, but you never know. But
okay, yeah,
but when
I
you
didn't
have
know
a
it.
receiving core, I've always been a big believer in your receiving core being like a starting five in basketball.
Mm.
How you have different sizes, different lengths. So it's good to get these little small guys out there for sure. Cliff says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, it's very difficult to win a championship in baseball. Look at how long Mike Martin coached and all the great teams he had, and he never won one.
Good point.
Yeah,
very good point.
Very good point. All right, buddy, who you got on the program tonight?
Well, we're going to gather ourselves together and see who I think David Whitley's going to be on. I believe let's see. I can't remember. My brain is kind of out right now. But we'll have some baseball talk tonight, a little recruiting talk. Tomorrow night we'll have our regular crew on with Allie. Scott Carter's coming on at some point in time. Steve is going to be. Anyway, I'll get my act together today and be able to tell you later.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you taking the time to join our program, buddy, and we'll see you next week, bud.
Thank you, Shane. Have a good day.
Yep, that's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. We're going to take a quick time out. We're going to come back. We'll be joined by Edgar Thompson from Orlando Sentinel. We'll get to more of these tweets and Facebook Live comments. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. Making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. JC and I will have our Peachland Dental picks tomorrow. In the meantime, we're just waiting on Edgar Thompson to join the program. As soon as Edgar, there is no sound. Okay, so there's no sound. Let me let the producer know. Okay, it's back. Is Edgar on? All right, we're going to get Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel will be joining us now. Edgar, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you
Edgar,
doing?
did you stay up for the whole? Did you stay up for the whole game, Edgar?
Yeah, it was a bloodbath. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was just pretty much a carbon copy of the previous night, just the other way around. LSU's a good baseball team. Give me your thoughts on, I know you don't cover baseball a whole lot. You do cover it, but I mean, it was still a phenomenal year. Just give me your overall thoughts on the Gator baseball team.
Well, considering the program hadn't gotten out of regional since 18 and then went to the College World Series and lost 2 games and was gone, and that was on the heels of the national title. I mean, it's a big step forward. It was a fun season. Gators won 53 games, Shane, which is tied with the most Sully's teams have ever won. And it would have, I don't know if it's a school record, to be honest. I haven't researched that, but if they'd won last night. But I'll tell you this, I've been telling people this, and no one probably cares about this, but I'm not a big baseball guy. The last 20 years, that sport kind of faded into the background for me in terms of interest. Used to love baseball. This team revived my interest in the sport. It was a fun team to watch. A lot of talent. I mean, hit tons of home runs, great pitching, fun team. And it was kind of a bummer to see it end that way for them, really. I mean, right? It's like that just isn't how you want. And you're Jack, Caglione, who had the record-setting season with home runs and tons of potential as a pitcher, and it ends like that. This memorable season ends on that note. So tough day for the Gators and for Kevin O'Sullivan, but a lot coming back next year. A lot lost too. Wyatt Langford's moving on. You're losing the 2 pitchers, but you got to think it's a positive step for the program.
Oh, yeah, it's a phenomenal year, and they are losing some good players, but they got a lot of good players coming in already from the transfer portal, and that's how you can build your team and turn it around and get back to there immediately, and that's what LSU did. So text on the Titan Mark text line from Darryl says, Shane, I've learned in life that people that try to tell you something about the Gators that don't even watch are morons. Yeah, I went on this rant earlier, Edgar, with I don't know how Twitter works.
Talking about me?
Talking about who?
Is he talking about me? I actually did cover the regional and the Super.
No.
I didn't go to Omaha. I didn't go to Omaha because it's a lot. They were out there like Kevin Brockway from the Sun was out there 12 days. I mean, that's like 4 or 5 football trips, man. I mean, it's an expensive endeavor. I wish I'd been there for the championship series at the very least. But no, anyway, continue. So what was your rant?
No, my rant was this morning because, I get on Twitter just to usually try to get some information, good stats or whatever. And during the game, you get all these these all for the Gators, orange and blue this, orange and blue that, whatever their little titles of their Twitter pages are. Mm-hmm. And they're just bashing our players, bashing Kevin O'Sullivan. And then when the season, when the game's over, oh, it was a great year, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know why they're on my feed. And I'm going to block them because their negativity drives me insane, especially when what they're saying is just stupidity. Okay. You can't sit here and bash Kevin O'Sullivan for starting Jack Caglione. He's been the 3rd pitcher the whole year, is my point. So obviously these people have never watched Gator baseball or follow Gator baseball. So anyway, I already did my rant earlier on the program. That was it. And I just didn't know why they were popping up on my feeds, and I'm going to block them so I don't see them because I do not follow them.
Well, here's a good line I remember from years ago. It was in a Rick Riley column about sports radio, which really became a phenomenon in the 90s, kind of like podcasting has in the last 5 years. And, you know, so many sports radio stations popped up. You remember all that, right? It was back when you were playing.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff really took off. And Joe Paterno had a line, nobody wins a game anymore. Somebody else always blew it. And
right. That's a good point.
And it's like, look, LSU got on a roll, man. Momentum is a crazy thing. You've been in a zone as an athlete a lot more than anybody watching this show. I mean, I've been in a zone at times myself. We all have who played sports, whether it was for 5 minutes, whatever, 5 holes on the golf course or whatever it was, that just happens. Momentum's weird. And we're talking about the top, athletes. LSU's stacked, man. And those guys, they just got on a roll, man. It got away from the Gators. Now, could Kevin O'Sullivan have stepped in, interceded with Caglione a little earlier? Possibly. He got wild and probably needed to get pulled. But
I mean, like you said, you can second guess that, but it's the same thing that happened to Cags in his earlier start in the College World Series. He sputtered around. That's usually what he does, but he comes out of it. He just didn't this time.
Well, they just didn't. The pitching got stretched so thinly, man. I mean, Sproat just didn't really have it, and they got 5 out of him, and then Waldrop didn't. It just
7 2/3 out of your 3 starting pitchers.
What was it?
7 2/3 innings out of your 3 starting pitchers.
So yeah, I mean, they just got stretched too thinly. The pitching just didn't hold up like it had been, and there you have it. It's interesting. So the Athletic, now I'm leading the pod. I'm curious what your assessment's going to be here. But now the athletic season's over for the Gators. Overall, right? They had a shot for the 3rd national title in a month. Didn't get it. What'd you think of the overall 2022-2023 sports calendar for the Gators, curiously?
Well, I think spring sports obviously dominated. I think all the spring sports had phenomenal years outside of maybe softball, kind of uncharacteristic year. They still made the tournament. But, obviously football, the 2 big sports did not have a great year, football and basketball. So obviously this upcoming year is huge, and I'm still on board that the Gators are going to win 8 games, Edgar, minimum. I'm going to stick to that, and we'll see. But, the season, sports are pretty much over now. Now we just have golf until, SEC Media Days, or have they set a date for SEC Media Days yet?
No, they're 3 weeks. 3 weeks from tomorrow, Billy will talk. 3 weeks from today's Georgia. In fact, I fly out. I will be on an airplane 3 weeks from today, heading to Nashville that Tuesday morning. I'm not going for day one. Day one's LSU, someone, and Texas A&M. And we used to go all 4 days. We used to send 3 people all 4 days. Again, state of, economy in the industry. But I'm going up I'll get Georgia. I'll be all day Florida. And then I'm going to come back late Thursday. Tennessee speaks Thursday. So I'm going to write on those 3 programs. Georgia's trying to 3-peat, man. We all know that. I don't know the last team that did. That's pretty heady stuff. And we'll see.
Who would be the last?
Who?
Who's the last team? Who's the last team that won 3 national titles in football? It had to go way back in the 60s, probably. I
mean, we might be going back to Oklahoma under Bud Wilkerson. Seriously. I was thinking Nebraska might have. But it didn't. I was thinking with Osborne in the 90s, but that, Florida won in 96, so that they did win 3 in a row. Anyway, point is, I'll be up there for that. That's in 3 weeks, but you're right. I mean, we get the British Open is that week too. So it's a pretty, it's kind of a desert when it comes to sports right now for a bit.
Yeah. Speaking of the SEC Media Days, Dan has a question, Edgar, brought to you by Metal Law. any word on SEC Media Days being in Dallas next year?
I mean, I haven't heard that, but I don't keep my ear to the ground and stuff like that, man. I just go where they tell me. I wish they'd just keep it in Hoover or Atlanta. Those are both drives. I prefer that to this Nashville thing. Nashville's going to be kind of a hassle, though it's a great city. I mean, good food and everything. But yeah, I could see that. I mean, why spread it around? Get the raise the profile. Now you're going to have Texas and Oklahoma there next year, and it would be smart putting it in Dallas, right? Playoff joining of those two teams.
Okay, so I got great listeners, Edgar, that do research for us.
Okay.
So Scott and Andy both did the research on the last three-peat. It happened in 1934 through 1936.
Okay, hold on.
Let me Big Ten. Okay. You'll never guess this.
Minnesota.
You must have Googled it, damn it.
No, I didn't at all. They were really good back in the 30s.
Wow, the Golden Gophers. I would have never guessed the Golden Gophers.
I mean, look, I didn't research it. I just said it. What do you think? I mean, it was 90 seconds ago. Dude, I know some sports history here, man. But they were.
Well, I guess you do, but geez.
I actually am surprised it was them. I just figured I'd get really obscure since you were so surprised, because I was thinking Army maybe, but that was more late 30s, early 40s. That's pretty impressive, man. Minnesota, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
They haven't been very good for about 50, 60 years. I think they were good like in early 60s.
We got a Joshua asked here on Facebook Live, Edgar, do you know what football players Billy's taking to media days? Has he announced that yet?
No, but you got to figure Graham Mertz. I ran into Montrell Johnson at Publix the other day. He was looking for a Lindy's because he was on the cover. He's a good kid. Nice young man.
That's funny.
I could see him going. I don't know. I mean, they need a defender. Who would that be? Jason Marshall, maybe?
Yeah, he's good now.
Derek Wingo. Derek Wingo is pretty impressive, but I mean, he still hasn't really had the career. So,
yeah, I'm not sure who they're going to take it.
Those guys seem like logical. Oh, Pearsall, maybe. Good talker.
Yeah. Ruse Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. A few more minutes with Edgar Thompson. Edgar, we got a question here. How happy were you to see Ricky Castillo win the Wichita Open?
Loved it. That was clutch too, man. He got an invite. You saw this, Shane, or not? The sponsors.
Now, where did he get an invite to?
He got a sponsor's exemption and drove 18 hours on a Friday or something.
Oh, you mean to the Wichita tournament? He got a sponsor's exemption.
So we got something like that. I mean, I was reading on PGAtour.com, which did a great job on the story. Got to give them credit. I mean, they really wrote it up like thoroughly. And then he birdied 6 holes in the front 9, or it went crazy. He was down 4 going in the final day. And then he doubled 15 to get in a playoff. And then he won on the first hole. But what a clutch performance, man. And just shows you what people were thinking all along on Ricky was, how long is he going to stay? You remember the minute he got here was when is he going to leave? And to the kid's credit, he didn't, like Sam Horsfield or Andy Zhang and a couple others in JC's program over the years who've left. Did Tosti leave early? He might have. It's funny, Tosti finished second in that tournament, or finished tied for third. Or anyway.
Does he? I don't follow the Corn Ferry that closely. I mean, obviously, I saw Fred Bionde played well in his first tournament. But by winning the event, that doesn't exempt him for – does it exempt him for anything?
No, but it gives him a real leg up going into the season-ending stuff points-wise to get his card next year. I mean, it positions him well. I don't know how it works. It used to almost be like a foregone conclusion. If you won once, you were going to make enough that you would get a top 25. But now they do this Q school thing, I think. They keep changing it. I don't know all the ins and outs of it because I don't cover professional golf as closely as Gators. So, but it should help him get closer to getting his tour card for sure. You got to think. And yeah, Fred, I think had a really good opening round. I don't know how he finished in that tournament, but this whole PGA Tour U thing that's happened, right?
Yeah.
That Ludwig Aberg, the Texas Tech guy, finished first, so he's on tour right now. And then 2 through 5, including Fred Biondi, get a lot of status on Korn Ferry, and then 6 through 10 get conditional, but they get good opportunities. And Ricky and Yushin Lin were 9 and 10, so they get chances, and it's a good thing they're doing because it was really difficult for guys to go from college golf to get any real opportunities unless you got sponsors exemptions. And so it was a real long road and kind of an unfair path really for the top college players. So they've now rectified that situation. So we could see Ricky on the PGA Tour next year, and heck, the way he played at Wichita, he deserves a spot, deserves a chance.
Yeah.
We don't need to be seeing Frank Licklider and Ryan Armour and all these guys that are just hanging on. I mean, to get in these spots, let's see the young guys. And the game's all a speed game now. You know it, you see it. With the distances they're hitting now, it's about youth and speed.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Josh has a Facebook Live here for you, Edgar, brought to you by Mellon Law. He says, what are you hearing this off season with the football program from the people that are close to it? Anything interesting? Culture, attitudes? Is it a different vibe than last year and then when Mullen was here?
Well, they keep us at a pretty good distance, but by speaking, I mean, like very, not arm's length. I mean, Billy is just talking to Billy. He always kind of carries a kind of a quiet confidence anyway, which I like about him. I mean, he believes in what he's doing, but it sounds like Billy's pretty optimistic by talking to him about this season. Now, he might just be saying what he needs to say, but I think they believe that Graham Mertz, even though I didn't see much during the spring game and we didn't see enough practice to make any assessment. You did, not I didn't.
No, I wasn't here. I didn't see one practice.
Okay.
I wasn't here.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You were coaching. I think they feel like he's gonna, they're gonna be a little more consistent on offense, maybe, be able to sustain some drives a little bit more than they did last year. There were a lot of 3 and outs and drives that just didn't pan out because Anthony, not making a throw here and there or making a bad decision or something. And he certainly could make more explosive plays than Graham Mertz is going to be able to make and turn nothing into something that maybe when Graham can't. But the line's going to have to come together, and then this could really be an effective running football team. I mean, Cam Carroll's a guy I think is going to be a factor. The Tulane transfer, along with ETN and Johnson. You got a real nice 3-headed monster there. And I'm interested to see how these freshman receivers, if one of them can get in the mix to go with Pearsall, Caleb Douglas. I mean, there's a lot of development that's going to have to happen, obviously, but that's with a lot of programs nationwide. So I think Billy's pretty optimistic. The defense is definitely going to be better, but how could it be much worse? But the defense is going to be intriguing. So I'm optimistic the team's going to be better. How that's going to show up on the win-loss, I don't know. I'm not quite as optimistic about 8 wins as you are, but you know the game better than most, so I'm not going to dispute it either. I mean, Vegas has it at 5.5 over under. Seems pretty low.
Yeah, but I've seen in the last 2 weeks again. And I don't know if this is just people to get clickbait or whatever y'all call it. On 3, 2 weeks ago, their top 25 had the Gators number 23. I saw yesterday On 3 came out with their preseason top 25, and they had the Gators at 20. And then ESPN has the Gators ranked favored in like 8 of their 12 games.
Okay.
So
well,
I'm just saying. I mean, I could come out with my own poll and get people to follow me or whatever. I just think when you look at it on paper, I think there's two teams on paper that are better than the Florida Gators right now, and that's the LSU Tigers and the Georgia Bulldogs.
Not
Everybody
Florida
else
State.
to me is the same.
Not Florida State.
I watched the game last year. I watched tape going into the game last year. I said, this team is no different than the Florida Gators.
They've
And
loaded up in the portal again, and they got a really good quarterback, I think.
I think he's a good college quarterback, but again,
Good college quarterback,
they are not going to win their league, and I don't think they're going to win the first game of the year. They may win the rest of them, but I don't see Florida State winning the ACC at all. Clemson is clearly better than them, in my opinion. So
yeah, we'll leave it
Travis.
I remember the 2021 game here in the Swamp. The Gators won, 24-21, I think. And Travis, I thought was pretty exciting playmaker in that game, even though kind of a boring game. He was kind of fun to watch. And, I mean, he took a step last year. I don't know. I mean, Heather Dinich, you know Heather, right? The ESPN.com or ESPN.
Yeah, she's got him as her Heisman. He ain't going to win the Heisman.
I couldn't believe. I mean, Caleb Williams seems to me the front runner, but she's high on him.
Yeah, it's going to be Caleb Williams or Drake May's going to win your Heisman Trophy.
You got to think it's one of them, yes. But anyhow, but it doesn't matter. Bottom line, to answer the question is, again, we're not around it enough, but I think there's more optimism over there than there was obviously a year ago. I think the roster is improved significantly, and the recruiting's been good. And this is a process, man. I did a story last week, I think it was, talking to Steve Wiltfong, the 24/7 Sports national recruiting analyst. Good guy, does a good job. His big thing, Shane, is what Billy's doing on recruiting is addressing what needs to be addressed, which is the point of attack on defense. And he's like, you cannot survive in the SEC if you can't stand up at the point of attack. And the Gators have not been able to, because they don't have the depth or the talent there. And they're getting that, and they're trying to build that. And I went and looked at Dan Mullen's 2019 and 20 classes that were both ranked 9th. He had one defensive tackle in the 19 class, Jalen Humphreys. No inside linebackers. 3 defensive.
I don't even remember that guy.
Yeah, well, he didn't pan out. He was a Georgia kid who got hurt. And he was, top 250-ish guy. And then the next class had Lamar Goods, Jalen Lee, neither panned out, and Jervon Dexter, who played way too many snaps and didn't live up to his 5-star potential most of the time. And then no inside backers. Derek Wingo was in that class and is now an inside backer. That's it. That's their front seven recruiting for 2 years. And that explains a lot.
That explains why my eyes told me that we've been so bad on the front seven defensively the last 3 or 4 years. So
yeah, and meanwhile, he's been beefing that up big time lately. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's been where he's really been focusing.
Yep. All right, Edgar, we appreciate your time, my man. Good stuff as always.
Thank you for having me, Shane.
Yep, that's Edgar Thompson for the Orlando Sentinel. Join us on the Titan MR hotline before we get out of here. Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. This day in sports, in 2001, Kwame Brown was the first pick of the Washington Wizards. That's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Again, thank you to Edgar Thompson and Buddy Martin for joining us on the Titan MR hotline. The sun did come up today, folks. Hell of a year by Gator Baseball. Congratulations to Kevin O'Sullivan and the Gator Baseball team, and also congratulations to LSU. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.